food, but he wants you to be realistic. So we have to think about the amount of space you have and the vegetables that are going to work and the vegetables that maybe won't work, and fruit.
Exactly. So I added some things to the table here, and I want you to pick out, let's say that you live in the city, which you do.
Yeah.
I want you to pick something on the table maybe that you shouldn't grow.
Okay, I'm going to say don't grow the corn. When I think about corn, I feel like it takes up a lot of space.
It does. Okay, first thing with corn, of course, it's going to be a tall plant.
Yes.
By being a tall plant, it's going to restrict light for a lot of those lower plants. And for gardening and food growing, you really need sun. Secondly, Toronto, we have raccoons like no other.
Tell me about
No
it.
others. Raccoons here, they wear like iPods and sunglasses. They got like attitude.
They've got Starbucks in their hands.
They're totally like, oh, they walk down, they see some corn. Guess what? You're not going to have any corn.
Right.
It really does attract. So it's just something that you got to be aware of. And also, corn is so available in the summer months with some local farmers that are out there that you can buy very inexpensive. So
that's right.
Why put all that energy into something like that? So pick something else that you shouldn't grow in the city of Toronto.
I'm gonna say these, like squash.
Yeah.
They can grow huge. They take up a lot of space.
Yeah, so some squash you can grow vertically, meaning that you can grow them up on a trellis.
Okay.
So then in a vertical situation, when you can take away that lower footprint, trellis them up, some of them you can grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say avoid growing squash because they do take a lot of space. And in an urban setting, you just don't have that much. Also, squash, really affordable to buy, and they store nicely. So you could be buying squash in the fall, really at your farmer's market, really inexpensive, and they store for a long time. So that's another one. Let's go with something that you want to grow. What do you think there's something?
Well, for sure, tomatoes you should grow.
Yeah, so easy. We talked about that as well.
We talked about raspberries.
Yeah.
How about these?
Beans. Okay,
String beans.
String beans. What's amazing about spring beans is they either come into one that's a vine type, or what you could, which is a pole bean, or you can get bush type. Bush type can be grown in a container.
Oh,
so you don't really need some space. And as well, the vine type, there's one that's called Scarlet Runner.
Yeah.
So you grow that on a trellis. It blooms with a red flower, then puts that nice bean on. So it's a sexy looking.
It's two in one.
It's like, wow, man.
She's gorgeous.
There's like some nice color there and everything. So there's some great options that are out there.
Lovely.
Garlic is something else that you can grow in almost any space. So garlic.
This is a yes.
That's a yes. So what I would tell you to do is plant that directly in your flower bed. By planting in your flower bed, it's going to repel a lot of insects, and you'll have that nice foliage that comes out, so you're maximizing space. So you're pottage gardening.
Okay.
A lot of, you look at red kale and even this here with the eggplant. Eggplant right there, that has a nice purple bloom.
Yeah.
Grows in a container and then puts this sexy fruit on there. That's a fruit because it flowers and then develops with seed. It's a fruit technically.
I have to learn that over again every year. That's a fruit. So this is a yes.
That's
Go ahead
a yes
and plant
for small spaces. Yes, indeed.
How about asparagus?
Asparagus is a perennial, right? So it's going to pop up every year. It's kind of neat, but for smaller spaces, the only difficulty with it is after it's finished and you harvest, it puts a plume out there that's this really huge, kind of funky looking thing. So in the right setting, back of the bed, that's a back of the bed, because it's going to get that height out there, so you want to be really careful. We already spoke about raspberries too. Raspberries is something that small spaces that you really want to avoid.
Yeah, because they're going to grow all over the place.
Cucumbers on the far side. Cucumbers are something that you could also grow vertically, so you can grow up. So in small spaces, think about growing up instead of out.
And what about any of these, the dandelions, the Swiss chard?
Oh, you can, Swiss chard's fantastic.
You can do these at home?
Swiss chard, you can grow that, you cut it, and it grows again. And Swiss chard's sexy. Look at that. Nice little red veining in there.
Hot, I know.
Okay, so I can put that in a container. That there is fashionable and functional.
Isn't it cool what he's into? He's into things like Swiss chard. It's interesting.
Swiss chard's good.
That's kind of what I like you.